Sorry for any background noise. Topic of the day is can Cam Newton pick up the Patriot way? Would he mesh well with Bill Belichick? Can he learn that system? And Willie McGinnis likes to think so. But I think the biggest obstacle for Cam is going to be whether or not he'll be able to control his emotions. That was one of my biggest criticisms of Cam was when things are going when things went well in Carolina, you noticed a more vibrant, more happy, more playful Cam Newton. But then when things were not going his way, you noticed a more somber, depressed, that kind of mercurial personality type will not do well in a system that does not. I'm trying to phrase this correctly. The system does not reward you for the small things that you're supposed to do. And I feel Cam is going to want that validation. He's going to want Bill Belichick to acknowledge the good things. Bill Belichick does not acknowledge the good things. Okay? He wants you to be as perfect as you can be every single play. And he wants you to do it because it's your job to do it. He doesn't want you to do it because you want to seek accolades. He doesn't want you to do it because you want to seek adoration. He doesn't want you to do it because you want to seek approval from him. He wants you to do it because it's your job to do it. Can Cam thrive in a system like that? That's the biggest question. It has nothing to do with the celebrations. I don't think anybody cares about Cam's celebrations, to be honest. I don't think it has anything to do with anything on the field. The only problem is Cam's personality and his propensity to shift depending on the environment. He's like a social chameleon. You know, when things are going well, he's happy. When things are not going well, he's sad. So let's get to it.
Well known that Bill Belichick runs a tight ship in Foxborough, and according to Willie McGinnis, the relationship between Belichick and new Patriot Cam Newton can work if Cam buys into the Patriot way. McGinnis thinks Cam will, quote, respect that he's going to an organization that has had a lot of success without him. So Shannon, in your opinion, will Cam buy into the Patriot way?
Yes, why he wouldn't? You see, Skip, I think
it's his personality. And I watched a little bit of the beginning. I watched 2 minutes of it. Not even that. Like a minute and 30. Somewhere around there. And it felt like Shannon was taking this as a racial thing. It felt like he was trying to make it a racial thing. Like, oh, because Cam is a black quarterback, he can't seem to thrive in the Patriot way. Well, he got to be white to do that. Like, it felt like that. So let's just get to
Cam gets a bad rap. I think because Cam has a big personality, he dresses a certain way, people automatically assume he's a problem in the locker room. I've never heard any reports that Cam was a problem. So
because there are none.
Why would he be a problem in another locker room?
The biggest criticism that I've heard is the same criticism I have. Cam tends to shift his mood too much. And when Bill Belichick starts getting in on him, and that's one of the biggest things that people said about Tom during like film studies and during during those periods of practice where they're looking at game film and the coach is breaking things down on what he sees. And Bill Belichick's very, 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 very big tendency to rail you for just the smallest of things. Can Cam handle that? Can he handle having his flaws exposed to everybody? Can he handle having his flaws exposed to him? You know, it's different when you know what your flaws are versus your coach pointing them out during practice. It's just different. It's different. You know? It's like you know what your flaws are as a human being, but to hear somebody say it to you, to your face, what your problems are, is a lot different. And can Cam handle that? Can Cam handle that kind of pressure? That's my biggest question. I think that'll be the biggest obstacle for him. If he can overcome that, I don't think Cam would have any problem playing on this team.
Now, we've seen guys go from other places. We heard what Corey Dillon was. We saw situations with Randy Moss.
Corey Dillon was an over-the-hill running back in Cincinnati. He left there, came to New England because they needed a running back, and pretty much it was the best situation for him. And he continued to play well and went on to win 2 Super Bowls. It's not... All right, let's just...
Ocho Cinco, have that ever been reported with Cam Newton? So why would Cam Newton have a problem in the Patriots locker room? See, he gets a bad rap there.
Because, see, this is the quarterback. We're not talking about Dillon. We weren't talking about Dillon because he's a running back. All right? We all know either if you're a good running back, you're going to be fine wherever you go. If you're not that good of a running back, you may struggle. That's just what it is. For wide receivers, it's the same thing. You're talking about 2 of the easiest positions to translate from team to team, from college to the pros. These are the easiest positions to translate from college to the pros. This is why you see far more effective running backs and wide receivers come into the league than you would see a quarterback, than you would see a safety, or you would see any of those positions, because they're easily translate. They just translate well. So a running back going from one NFL team to another is not that big a difference. You may have you'll have to learn new plays. You'll have to learn new verbiage. There different teams that have different ways of communicating with each other from sideline to field, from field to sideline. You would have to learn those things. You would have to learn what plays is what. You would have to learn it. You would have to learn how to play with your teammates. Those are as extensive as the adjustments would go, and it's not even that severe. Now, when you're talking about a quarterback, you're talking about you have to learn an entire new system. You have to make sure you know everybody on the offense. Being the quarterback of the team is like being the general of a set of troops. You have to know everything about your troops. You have to know who you're going into battle with. And some of the greatest quarterbacks know every player on that offense ins and outs. Just knows them well. Okay, so it's different with a Corey Dillon and a Chad Ochocinco when they're coming from teams. They're a lot older. I mean, they were older than fucking Cam, to be honest. I think Corey Dillon was around 31 when he got to New England. They were a lot older than Cam. Well, they were older than Cam. So it's just different, man. It's a different situation, man.
All this perception that Cam's a bad teammate, that Cam's a problem. Why? Because he celebrates? Because he dabbed? Because he did the Superman?
Who the hell see, I've never heard anybody complain about Cam celebrating. I mean, there was one time I did hear somebody complain about it, but that was because he was talking about the personality of Cam, like I've been saying, where when things are going well, you see a different Cam Newton than when things are not going well.
I'm just trying to figure where is this coming from that Cam would have a problem. He said he was wondering, like, okay, maybe my antics, maybe my celebrations, because when his agent told him that New England might have some interest, he's like, well, wait a minute, how me and Coach Belichick's gonna mesh? Because I do what I do, I do what I do on the field. I've never heard of Cam being a problem. And
Bill Belichick is notorious. He is notoriously known for taking players and adjusting, even if it's just a small part of what they do, adjusting to what that player does well. So Bill Belichick is one of those rare coaches that takes every single player and he fits a game plan for each player based on what their strength is. And he reacts according to that. So, I don't think it'd be a problem with them meshing as long as Cam's personality does not bump heads with the coach.
It was a problem. They did a great job of keeping it quiet. But it's hard for me to believe that a guy of Cam's talent and Cam's profile, it would have gotten out. If he was a problem in the locker room, if he was a problem at any point in time, it would have gotten out. So I believe Cam will be just fine in the Patriots locker room. I think a lot of this gets blown out of proportion. For the most part, every guy that's gone there has been modeled. It's just that some of the guys that he's taken from other places. So why would you automatically assume that Cam was a problem and he would have a problem here when he wasn't a problem there?
Because it's probably because he's black, Shannon. That's That's what it is, man. It's because he's a black man. All right. If they had Phillip Rivers coming in here, they wouldn't be talking about this shit. It's because he's black, bro. Jesus.
Okay, I got you. And to your point, Belichick has taken chances on a lot of very talented players who had issues elsewhere.
Yes.
Randy Moss,
Randy Moss was not a problem anywhere else. Randy Moss was sent to Oakland. Anybody going to Oakland when Oakland was Oakland, like they used to be, would have a problem with being there. And most people thought Randy Moss's career was over because, I mean, his time in Minnesota, he was phenomenal. He got sent to Oakland, his career pretty much became non-existent until he went to New England and, played there. But I've never really heard, I mean, sure, the type of celebrations that Randy Moss was doing where he was mooning the crowd and stuff, he got flack for that. I mean, for some reason, people like bitching about wide receivers and their behaviors, like Chad Ochocinco or Chad Johnson, whatever the fuck he's calling himself now. Like people had these issues with these players, which made no sense. I mean, football is supposed to be fun. All right, I get it as a job. You make a crazy amount of money, but it is a game, and celebration and trash talk is a part of the game. It is what it is, but they're changing it to they're trying to make it more family friendly, I guess. I don't know. Maybe Cam needs to stop celebrating. Maybe Cam needs to stop doing those things. But I don't see a problem with him, But I think his biggest problem is his personality, though.
pretty models this, and I know he started to go a little haywire there at the end, and after a Monday night game at Miami, Belichick said, that's enough, you're out.
Right,
and he
wanted to get paid.
Okay?
That's what it's usually about with great wide receivers, is that they usually want their money. Unless you're an Antonio Brown and you even if you're not doing it, your name is always in some bullshit.
Corey Dillon
ran for 1,500 yards.
Okay, through the time that Chad Johnson was Chad Ochocinco, I was very close with him, and Chad Ochocinco got a shot to go play with Tom Brady as kind of a last hurrah.
Right.
And I believe to this day, Chad will tell you.
Chad don't know what the fuck he's talking about, first of all. I heard this little snippet. Chad don't know what he's talking about. Chad did not last in New England because he could not pick up the scheme. It doesn't matter what Chad's personality is. If Chad was producing on the field, if he was producing in practice, he would have been on that field. And he would have played a lot more. And he would have had better numbers than one catch over a course of an entire season. Chad could not pick up the system. That was the problem. It had nothing to do with him celebrating. It had nothing to do with his eccentric personality. It was because he could not pick up the system. He could not manage that. And he got his ass had down. Because don't get it messed up, Bill Belichick is human. If there's a guy that is super productive and he could get this dude for a cheap deal that could come in and produce at a high level, he will do it.
That it didn't work for him to leave Chad Ochocinco at the door because it's who he was.
Correct.
It's what fueled him. He needed to be himself.
Right.
He needed to do the river dance, which is still the all-time greatest ever. It's just like, way to go, Chad. You just blew the top off celebration.
He could have did the river dance. Like, Bill Belichick is not against celebrations. Okay? I've seen players celebrate. I mean, if anybody remembers when, well, what's the running back's name? Yeah, Stephen Ridley and Shane Vereen. All right, when you had those running backs, when you had those running backs, they used to do this weird celebration where they'll draw like the outline of a door and then they'll show their foot kicking in the door. That was them interpreting like they fought their way into the end zone. But he lets you celebrate. It's not like he doesn't. He lets you celebrate. He just wants you to produce. Chad couldn't produce on the field. That was the problem.
That one. If I look at the highlight, I'll watch it like 15 straight times. But the point is, he checked Ochocinco at the door. He went back to just
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he told Chad, listen, man, you want all that attention that you was getting in Cincinnati, where they will come to your locker and you'll talk about every DB in the league and who you're facing in the upcoming weeks, and you'll have them on your calendar, who you going to beat and who you're not going to beat, making all this about you, making all this attention about you, but it's not about you. When you walk in here and put on the Patriot jersey, you are a cog in the system. And I'm pretty sure Chad didn't have a problem with it because he had no other options. Where the fuck was he going to go? Nobody wanted to sign him. He went to Miami, played like shit. I mean, he had a good run in Cincinnati, but Chad's career ultimately was a lot more disappointing than people like to acknowledge, because he should have been a lot better and he should have done a lot more than he did. And a lot of times these receivers they get in their own way. It has nothing to do. Whenever somebody has issues with with finding employment, it's always because, oh, they want to try to change me. No, nobody's trying to change you, bro. But you're not going to be here and be disruptive. You're not going to be here and be an issue, be a problem. And that's one of Chad's problems. Like, he ran his mouth too much. He had a very, very narcissistic personality where it had to be about him. He wouldn't shut the fuck up. But, that's just my opinion, I guess.
With Chad Johnson.
Right.
He was a little overwhelmed and, dare I say, intimidated by the Patriot way.
Right.
And it showed in his performance.
Right.
He was flat. He looked average. He felt average. He played average.
Well,
because he was old. A lot of those routes are based on timing. A lot of those routes are based on your ability to route run. Chad, you know what that showed? It showed Chad wasn't as effective of a route running receiver as he needed to be. I mean, Chad was fast. Chad was a great athlete, but his route running ability left something to be desired. And when you compare him to Wes Welker coming from Miami to New England was a glorified return man. That's all he was. Well, he plays a receiver, but he was a glorified return man. He goes to New England, spends a year or so there. Next thing you know, he's one of the top slot receivers, if not the top slot receiver in the NFL for years. Because his route running was phenomenal. Look at Chris Hogan. Look at Danny Amendola. Two guys who were pretty much nobodies before they got to New England. Route running is important. If you can run routes effectively, New England is as a receiver is the perfect place for you. It's a perfect place. All you got to do is, control yourself. Try not to make this all about you. Try not to make this a you moment.
I think the thing was, Skip, when he first got there, and he goes into the meeting room, and Coach Belichick turns on the film, and he's yelling at Tom Brady.
Because of the Jets' playoff
Right.
loss. He put that tape in on the first day of camp.
Right.
They had lost a playoff game at home to Mark Sanchez and company, and he put that tape in and blast Brady over it.
Ocho had never been yelled at.
No.
So he's like, hold on, wait a minute.
Okay.
That's Tom Brady you're yelling at. That's Tom Brady you're cursing.
That's going to be Cam's problem. That's going to be the biggest test. Can he deal with that? Because when you're not used to being judged, when you're not used to being railed by your coach, when your coach rails you, it's like a parent it's like a parent that never yelled at a kid, never punished a kid, never did anything, never talked down to a kid, nothing, right? And then the first time you raise your voice to that kid, the look of shock and terror that creeps across their face, that's what it's like for these players who don't get railed the way Belichick will rail you. It can send a lot of them into a state of unrest. It's really world shaking. Can Cam deal with that? That's the biggest question.
I got no chance.
Okay. Now, back to Cam. I disagree with your premise here, because I respect Cam for who he is. And again, he was not a problem. He was not an off-the-field problem.
Right.
But he was Cam Newton.
Right.
To me, his personality is the biggest we've ever seen in a quarterback. I'm talking...
His personality is the biggest weakness of who he is. And it's only and listen, Cam off the field in real life seems like a wonderful dude, man. He seems like he is enjoying his life. I mean, I remember when Cam came out of Auburn, when he got into the league. I mean, this dude posted up his Xbox gamer tag, inviting people to come play him in Madden, because that was when he was talking about how great at Madden he was. So he was inviting people to come play him. He seems like a terrific guy who is enjoying his life, and I appreciate that about him. But as a football player, he has the worst personality that you would want in your quarterback. He has the personality of a wide receiver. He has the worst personality you would want in a quarterback, because it's the kind of personality that when good things are going on and they're feeling good about themselves and you're propping them up by telling them how well they played, he loves that. He loves the adulation. He loves it. He loves it. But when things aren't going well, he's not playing well, and you point that out to him, it's almost like they go through a mini mental breakdown. And that's the one thing you don't want your quarterback to fall subject to, is a breakdown. The most important position on the field, you don't want them to be mentally fragile like that. And I believe he is.
Historically, we've never seen this. His aura, his sheer physical size. He's a huge human who is highly capable of imposing his physical will on a defense in ways we have never, ever seen. Okay. And because of that, he needs to be Cam. The Patriot way has to be more of the Cam way if he's going to be Cam Newton of 2015, which a lot of people expect.
So my thing is, are you saying
you can't tell him not to be yourself anymore?
But the Patriot,
and I've said this, I think the Patriot way is dead. When Brady left, the Patriot way died, because Brady set the tone for every other player in that locker room. Not Belichick, Brady. Brady allowed Belichick to do what it is that he needed to get done.
Released a hype video. When did they ever release the hype video on somebody?
Okay, well, maybe it's a new day.
Sorry if y'all hear that in the background. It's like raining really hard right now.
Okay,
Bill Belichick just did a Subway commercial. It may be he is mellowed. It may be that we've entered into a new realm here, post-Brady.
You know what that screams to me? That screams Belichick realizes that he's getting older and the players coming into the league are getting younger. He needs to ease up. You don't have Brady there no more to be your buffer, to keep players in line, to implore them that, look, it works. You don't have Brady there as your middleman anymore. So Belichick has to either find a new middleman, which is going to be hard to replace somebody like Brady, or he would have to try to endear himself with the young guys, with the players. He would have to be more loose. He would have to be a lot more approachable. Look at Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich, for the first 15 to 20 years that he was coaching in his league, was an asshole. Like, he was a major asshole. What happened when it came close to Tim Duncan and Manu and Tony Parker to get up out of there? What happened? Now we start seeing a loose Greg Popovich. Now we're seeing a loose Greg Popovich who is smiling more, who looks more down to earth because he has two real players in. He can't be the hard, tight ass anymore because you don't have those great players there and your team isn't winning, or that was helping your team win. Now you have to endear yourself to the young guys. This is not rocket science, man.
This was the Patriot way, and to me, you're going to have to mellow enough to allow it to be the Cam way. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it in a great way.
I just think the Patriot way is, Skip, it's all about the team. It's not about you. It's not about your individual stats. The most important stat is the collective stat, is the W. And so you come to work on time. You do what you're supposed to do. You meet, you be courteous, you respect your teammates.
That's all fine.
No giving unauthorized press conferences, running off at the damn mouth like Cam was doing in Carolina, where he got his dumb ass in trouble. Apparently telling a woman, why are you talking to me about football? Insinuating that she knew nothing about football. Should have known better than that, because people are going to eat that shit up and tear your damn head off. No more press conferences. No more talking. No more running off at the mouth. Press conferences don't exist unless we tell you they exist. That type of shit.
You can't take Cam out of Cam. You have to conform a little bit to his way, which is however he wants to dress, however he wants to wear his hair. Just let it go.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
Just do that.
If you would have asked me 5 years ago, will we ever see Bill Belichick give in to a player? I would have said, hell no. You ask me now, I think, bro, if they want Belichick to get on TV in a clown suit and start dancing, he'll fucking do it if it means he could get players to come there. Unless they draft great talent, man, nobody's going to be looking at New England as the destination spot unless they owe this shit.
Right. Whatever he wants to post on social, just look the other way. Let it be. If he wants to speak his considerable mind, which he will do on occasion, when he is prompted, when he's provoked by something he sees, he will speak out about it. You got to let that go because in the past, that's been sort of conditioned out of the team. You don't speak out. You have to be careful with the media, right?
You remember when Malcolm Butler tweeted and Tom Brady started liking everything that Malcolm was tweeting?
After the Super Bowl.
Yeah, after the Super Bowl. And there have been times that players have said things and Tom has liked that. But
I used to kind of dismiss this notion because I just didn't see enough evidence to say that the deterioration was setting in as much as it was, but it was. That was the beginning of the end.
Yeah, he let Gronk be Gronk.
Yeah, it was lighthearted Gronk. Like it wasn't. There was nothing controversial, especially about it. I guess you could say his partying was. Yeah, but it was seen as happy-go-lucky Gronk, right?
And so for me, Skip, and you see LeGarrette Blount. Yeah. Every time he scored a touchdown, he posed with the Minutemen. And so I don't think Cam's going to be a problem as long as Cam does his job.
Okay. So to me, I never thought that locker room leadership was Cam's strongest suit. Where he leads is on the field with play making. Mm-hmm. You have to let him be who he is on and off the field. You can't expect him to be Brady in the locker room. Brady was strong in the locker room. That was a gift of his, is to be that locker room buffer. Okay, he's a bad guy. He's a dictator. The coach is. We're okay.
He was the middleman. That's exactly what Brady was the middleman. This is why I say the Patriot way is dead. Because Brady was the middleman. Brady was the one that got all the other players in line because all the other players loved Brady. They loved Brady. When you hear them talk about playing with Tom Brady, even guys like James Harrison, who admitted to hating this dude before they even got to know him, when they met this guy, when they talked to this guy, when they're around this guy, they love this guy. And they are willing to play for him. They are willing to play for him. Now that he's gone, this is why you're seeing Bill Belichick in commercials, apparently. Is because he needs to put on a new face. He can't be that same stoic dictator anymore. He has to change. Otherwise, players will not want to go there. Players will not want to sign there. They will not want to play there because it's like when you have a stepfather that you can't fucking stand, but you love your mom so damn much, you deal with the stepfather. And if your mom ever left the stepfather, you have no reason to see him. That's what this is like. You know, he's that Belichick is that evil stepfather. But I'm done, man. I pretty much just proved my point. Listen, Cam's biggest issue is going to be his personality. Is he going to be able to take the lashings of a Bill Belichick? And I'm gonna say this. I think what Bill Belichick does is important. I think his ability to dissect the player in such a vicious fashion prepares them for the criticisms of the media, for the criticisms of the fans, for the criticisms of other teams. So that way you're not overreacting to everything that's said about you. Because you know that your coach is going to say worse. It's like almost desensitizing them in a way to criticism so that way they can focus on playing. They can focus on improving. If he's not using it for that, that could be a tactic that he could say that's what it's for. You know, because one of the biggest issues amongst athletes is the criticisms of everybody else. But I'm done, man. This video already 30 minutes long, man. All right, for anybody that's made it this far, which I doubt anybody will, thanks.